When an off-road icon like the Land Cruiser embraces hybrid power, it's not about trend following. It's about survival, regulatory, economic, and technological. The global body-on-frame SUV segment is under pressure. Emission standards are tightening across North America, Europe, and parts of Asia. Fuel economy regulations are no longer abstract targets. They shape product planning years in advance. At the same time, buyers still expect towing strength, long-distance durability, and genuine off-road credibility. That tension, capability versus compliance, defines why the 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser Hybrid exists at all. For decades, the Land Cruiser built its reputation on mechanical resilience. Simple, proven engines, overbuilt components, predictable performance in remote environments. For traditional off-road buyers, electrification introduces uncertainty. Batteries and electric motors feel like added complexity in vehicles historically valued for mechanical transparency. The concern isn't nostalgia, it's trust. Toyota's response is strategic rather than symbolic. The hybrid system isn't positioned as an environmental statement. It's an engineering adaptation to a market reality where large displacement engines alone no longer make regulatory sense. By integrating electric torque into a turbocharged powertrain, Toyota preserves the low-end pulling force essential for crawling and towing while reducing fleet emissions exposure. And this is where the tension becomes more nuanced. Electrification in this context does not aim to replace capability. It supplements it. Instant electric torque improves throttle precision at low speeds, useful when navigating technical terrain. Hybrid assistance can smooth power delivery in stop-and-go driving, which is where many of these vehicles actually spend most of their time. For daily use, that matters more than maximum horsepower figures. But capability isn't just about torque curves, it's about long-term durability and service confidence. Hybrid systems introduce additional components, high-voltage wiring, battery packs, power control units. For buyers who keep vehicles for 10 or 15 years, that complexity raises legitimate questions about repair costs and remote area serviceability. For some traditionalists, that complexity feels less like progress and more like vulnerability. Here's the perspective shift. Toyota is not experimenting here. The company has over 2 decades of hybrid production experience across multiple platforms. That institutional knowledge changes the risk calculation. This is not a first-generation technology trial. It's a mature system adapted to a traditional SUV architecture. Still, the Land Cruiser Hybrid reflects a broader repositioning. And it acknowledges that today's off-road SUV buyer is not exclusively an expedition traveler. Many are professionals and families who want credibility and security, a vehicle that can handle a snowstorm, a mountain trail, or a heavy trailer, but will spend most of its life commuting or on highways. For them, improved efficiency and smoother urban drivability are not compromises. They're upgrades. From a market standpoint, the Land Cruiser Hybrid protects the nameplate's future. Without electrification, rising regulatory penalties would either inflate pricing or restrict availability in key markets. Hybridization keeps the vehicle viable. It stabilizes production volume, and that stability supports resale value, something Land Cruiser owners have historically relied on. Ownership cost logic also shifts subtly. While hybrid systems add upfront complexity, they can reduce fuel consumption over years of daily use. Brake wear often decreases due to regenerative braking, and the trade-off becomes less about mechanical simplicity and more about system longevity. And Toyota's track record suggests the brand is confident in that balance. Now it's worth pausing for a moment. This vehicle is not for buyers who view simplicity as the ultimate form of reliability. If your benchmark is a naturally aspirated engine with minimal electronics and decades-old service procedures, the hybrid Land Cruiser will feel like a philosophical departure. And that reaction is understandable. But the reality is that pure mechanical simplicity is increasingly incompatible with global emissions policy. The choice facing manufacturers isn't hybrid versus tradition. It's adaptation versus discontinuation. In practical terms, the 2026 Land Cruiser Hybrid remains a body-on-frame SUV with real off-road hardware, real towing capacity, and a durability-focused brand philosophy. The hybrid system doesn't redefine its mission. It allows the mission to continue under new constraints. Looking 5 to 10 years ahead, vehicles like this are likely to hold stronger long-term confidence than large displacement non-hybrid competitors. They align with regulatory trajectories rather than resisting them. They remain usable in urban low-emission zones while preserving rural and off-road functionality. That dual relevance matters for resale and ownership flexibility. So does electrification compromise capability? In this case, it reframes it. The Land Cruiser Hybrid represents a recalibration, not a retreat. It demonstrates how an off-road icon can absorb technological change without surrendering its core identity. And in today's market, that balance between power, durability, and compliance isn't dilution. In 2026, survival doesn't mean abandoning identity. It means evolving it before the market forces you to.